The sun rose gently over Grace Valley, a peaceful community known for three things: its kindness, its unity, and its beloved pastor. Pastor Samuel Adeyemi, respected across towns, was a man whose life seemed woven from faith itself. His sermons brought comfort, his prayers brought hope, and his humility drew crowds larger than the church could contain. But nothing captured the community's admiration more than his only daughter, Dara. To everyone, Dara Adeyemi was the perfect example of purity: graceful, soft-spoken, always smiling, always helping. She led the choir with an angelic voice, taught Sunday school children, and visited elderly neighbors after school. People often whispered, "Pastor Samuel is blessed. His daughter is a jewel. She's the most well-behaved girl in Grace Valley. Dara. She can never do wrong." Even the mothers in the market used her name to correct their daughters. "Look at Dara. Learn from her." But no one knew that behind her quiet eyes was a storm she prayed no one would ever see. The silence behind her smile. Every morning, Dara woke hours before dawn, kneeling beside her bed. She prayed, not for blessings, not for her father's ministry, not for school, but for forgiveness. "Lord, please help me hide this," she whispered, trembling. "Please." Her hands weren't shaking because of cold. They were shaking because of something else. Something she carried like a shadow tied to her soul. The secret had followed her for 3 years. And every day the weight grew heavier. Sometimes in school, she would stare at her classmates laughing freely and wonder, if they knew the real me, would they still smile at me? Would they still see me as Pastor Samuel's perfect daughter? Would my father still be proud of me? But she never let those thoughts show. She moved through life like a gentle breeze, welcoming, polite, and kind. No one suspected her heart was a battlefield. The stranger who saw too much. One quiet Thursday evening, she walked home from choir practice, her hymn book clutched to her chest. The street was almost empty, except for a young man repairing his bicycle near the roadside. His name was Adeoye, a new arrival in the community. He worked with a delivery company and barely spoke to anyone. But that evening, he noticed something. Dara walked past him, smiling politely as usual. But the moment she thought she was alone, her smile crumbled. She pressed her hand to her chest, breathing hard, as though holding back tears she had been swallowing all day. Adeoye's brows furrowed. "That girl is hiding something," he murmured. It wasn't judgment. It was concern, pure and raw. But Grace Valley was not a place where people questioned the pastor's daughter. So Adeoye kept quiet and watched her disappear into the twilight. The pastor's expectations. Inside the Adeyemi house, Pastor Samuel sat in his study, reading his sermon notes. The lamp beside him shimmered softly as he rehearsed. "We must live above reproach, for we are the light the world watches." Those words made Dara's heart drop every time she heard them. Because she, the pastor's daughter, the girl everyone believed was light, was hiding darkness. When she got home, her father smiled warmly. "Welcome, my daughter. How was choir practice?" "Good, Daddy," she answered, forcing a smile. "Good. Remember, people look up to you. Your life is a message." Those words felt like needles in her chest. "Yes, Daddy. I know." He waved her off lovingly, never suspecting that what he said made her want to collapse. The secret begins to crack. That night, Dara sat on her bed with her eyes fixed on the small wooden box hidden beneath her mattress. A box no one knew existed. Inside it lay the truth. A truth capable of shattering her family's reputation, destroying her father's ministry, and turning the entire community against her. She touched the box with trembling fingers. "Please," she whispered to herself. "Please. Just let tomorrow be normal." But deep down she knew something was coming. Shift, crack. A moment she wouldn't be able to escape. Because secrets, no matter how deeply hidden, always find a way to rise. And Dara's secret was about to collide with her world. The next morning, Grace Valley was bright and peaceful as always. Birds chirped. Children hurried to school. The market women began setting up their stalls. Everything looked normal. But inside Dara, nothing was normal anymore. She woke up with a knot in her stomach. The same knot she felt every day, but stronger this time, like a warning. As she dressed for school, her fingers trembled so badly she dropped her hairbrush twice. She tried to whisper a prayer, but the words refused to come out. Downstairs, she heard her father's voice echoing gently. "Dara, breakfast is ready, my dear." Her father's tone was warm, proud, trusting. And that trust was the heaviest burden on her shoulders. A shadow walks behind her. On her way to school, Dara kept catching the feeling that someone was watching her. She turned once, twice, 3 times. No one was there. Just the wind pushing leaves across the road. But the strange feeling wouldn't go away. Little did she know, someone was watching. Oh. He stood beside the provision shop, pretending to tighten a bolt on his bicycle. But his eyes never left Dara. He saw her again. The same frown hidden behind the polite smile. The same quiet panic in her eyes. "Something is wrong with this girl," he whispered. "And she is suffering alone." But he still said nothing. Who would believe a newcomer over the pastor's daughter? The school day that broke her routine. At school, Dara tried to blend in, smiling as she always did, answering questions softly, helping teachers carry books. But today, her mind wasn't cooperating. During math class, she zoned out so deeply she didn't hear the teacher call her name. "Dara. Dara Adeoye." She jolted upright. "Yes, ma'am, sorry, ma'am." A few students exchanged confused glances. She never gets distracted. What's wrong with her today? Even her best friend, Tenny, noticed. During break, Tenny pulled her aside behind the school block. "Dara, are you okay? You're shaking." "I'm fine," Dara whispered. "You're lying. I can feel it." Dara looked away, her throat tight. "Tenny, if I ever disappointed everyone, would you still stand by me?" Tenny blinked. "What kind of question is that? Just answer me." "I would never leave you," Tenny said sincerely. "But you're not someone who would disappoint anyone." Dara's heart twisted painfully. If only Tenny knew the truth. The mystery message. After school, Dara walked home quietly, hoping for a calm evening. But when she reached her room, she noticed something strange. Her wooden box, the box that held her darkest secret, was slightly out of place. Her breath froze. "No, no, no," she whispered. She knelt beside the bed and pulled out the box with trembling hands. It was still locked, but a small folded piece of paper was lying on top of it. Note. She unfolded it slowly, her heart beat loud and wild in her ears. The note said, "I know what you're hiding. Meet me behind the old chapel tonight. Come alone." No name. No signature. Just those chilling words. Dara's blood turned cold. Someone knew. Someone had seen something. Someone had touched the box. Her entire world spun. The secret meeting. Night came faster than she expected. Pastor Samuel held evening fellowship downstairs, praying with church members. Dara could hear the soft hymns drifting through the house. Hymns she usually found comforting. Tonight they only made her chest tighten. When the clock struck 8 p.m., she slipped out carefully, pretending to step out for fresh air. No one questioned her. She was the pastor's daughter. She always did the right things. The old chapel stood behind the main church building, abandoned for years. The wooden doors were cracked, and the windows were fogged with dust. The perfect place for secrets. As she approached, she saw a tall shadow leaning against the wall. Her breath caught. "Ayo," she whispered. He stepped forward, surprised. "You came. You wrote the note." Ayo shook his head. "No. Found it. Someone dropped it near your window. I picked it up before anyone else saw." Dara's heartbeat eased. Just a little. "So, you don't know the secret?" Ayo hesitated. "No. But I know you're drowning. And I can't pretend I don't see it anymore. Dara swallowed hard, her eyes filling with tears she'd held back for too long. You shouldn't get involved. Maybe, he said gently, but you shouldn't carry this alone. No one had ever said those words to her before. She stepped back, wiping her tears. Ayo. There's something I need to tell you. Something I've hidden from everyone. Ayo looked at her quietly, encouragingly. Dara inhaled sharply. The truth was about to escape her lips. But before she could speak, a cold voice echoed from the darkness behind them. Don't say a word. Dara froze. Ayo turned sharply. A figure stepped out of the shadows. Someone Dara knew. Someone she feared. Someone who should never have been there. Dara's entire body turned to ice. The figure stepped closer. Slowly. Deliberately. Each footstep echoing through the abandoned chapel like a warning bell. Ayo instinctively moved in front of her. Who is that? He demanded. But Dara already knew. The voice alone had ripped through her like lightning. The person she feared most. The person who held her weakness in their hands. The person who could destroy everything with one sentence. Her older cousin, Beezy. Beezy, the girl who lived with them, the girl everyone trusted. The girl who smiled sweetly in public but held secrets sharper than knives. Dara, Beezy said coldly. I told you not to speak. Ayo's brows furrowed. You followed her here. Beezy's lips curved in a cruel smirk. I follow her everywhere. The blackmail revealed. Dara's knees weakened. Her voice shook. Beezy, please don't do this. Oh, I will, Beezy snapped. Unless you do exactly what I want. Ayo looked between them, confused. What is happening? What is she talking about? Beezy turned to him with fake sympathy. You really want to know? Then listen well. She stepped closer to Dara, enjoying every moment. You think she's perfect. The holy pastor's daughter. She laughed softly. Let me tell you the truth your sweetheart hides. Dara squeezed her eyes shut. Not this. Please not this. Beezy continued. Dara sneaks out at night. She keeps a locked box under her bed. And inside that box is evidence. Evidence of a life she hides from her holy father. Ayo's face tightened. Evidence of what? Beezy leaned forward, whispering wickedly. The kind of secret that can scatter Pastor Samuel's reputation across every church in the region. Ayo looked at Dara, alarmed. Is this true? What is she talking about? Tears spilled from Dara's eyes. Beezy smiled in satisfaction. She's been paying me to keep quiet. Ayo's eyes widened. What? Dara swallowed painfully, her voice barely a breath. It's true. I've been giving her money. Everything I earn from tutoring. Just to stop her from telling my father. Ayo was speechless. Beezy stepped back proudly, like a villain on stage. And now I want more. Her eyes glinted. You will continue paying me, Dara. Or I will open your secret to the whole church. The breaking point. Dara felt like her lungs were collapsing. Ayo. I didn't want anyone to know. Especially not my father. She whispered, breaking down. Ayo took a deep breath, steadying himself. Enough, he said sharply. Beezy, you're blackmailing her. And what will you do about it? Beezy sneered. You're just a bicycle repair boy. Those words stung. But they didn't break him. Ayo took one step closer. If you tell the secret, you'll destroy a girl whose only mistake was trusting the wrong person. You think that makes you powerful? Beezy scoffed. It makes me smart. She should have never crossed me. Dara shook her head desperately. I never crossed you. I only tried to be your sister. Then you failed, Beezy snapped. Now pay me. Oh turned to Dara. What exactly is she holding over you? Dara hesitated, trembling from head to toe. This was it. The moment she had run from for months. The truth she feared would destroy her father. She wiped her tears. Ayo. My secret. It's not a crime. It's just something my father would never understand. Ayo gently held her shoulders. Dara, whatever it is, you don't deserve to suffer alone. His voice was so calm, so sincere, that something inside her broke open. She looked at him, really looked at him, and whispered, I work at a nightclub. Oh, blinked. You what? I sing there, she said through tears. Every Friday night. I sneak out after everyone sleeps. I needed the money for school, for books, for things Papa couldn't afford. But if the church finds out, it will disgrace him. It will ruin everything. Ao's shock softened into understanding. You sing. That's your secret. Beezy laughed mockingly. She doesn't just sing. She sings in a nightlife bar. Men drink. Music plays. People dance. Imagine what church members will say if they see the pastor's daughter there. Dara covered her face in shame. Yes, that's my truth. The unexpected reaction. Ao lifted her chin gently. Dara, singing is not a sin. Working hard is not a sin. Hiding it, that's fear. And fear is not your fault. She sobbed harder. But my father, the church, they'll never understand. Ao stepped back and turned to Beezy. You think you have power because you found her weakness. But you're the only one doing something truly wrong. Beezy's smile dropped. You don't know anything. Yes, I do, Ao cut in. You're broken inside. And instead of healing, you're choosing to hurt others. Beezy's eyes flashed with rage. You think you can stop me? Watch me ruin her. She spun to leave. But Ao grabbed her wrist firmly. No. This ends tonight. Beezy pulled her hand free, breathing hard. You just made your biggest mistake. And with that she stormed away, disappearing into the night. Dara collapsed into a crouch, shaking violently. It's over, she whispered. She's going to tell everyone. Ao knelt beside her. No. We won't let her. Dara stared at him with tear-filled eyes. What do you mean? Ao took a deep breath. Because I know something she doesn't know. And it might just save you. Long, suspenseful, emotional, and deeply engaging, as requested. The following week began like a quiet storm, gentle on the surface, but with danger rumbling underneath. The black African pastor, Pastor Grace Adeoye, had tightened the household's rules. His sermons became sharper. His prayers grew longer. His eyes lingered suspiciously on his daughter, black African Grace Adeoye, as if waiting for her to slip. Grace felt the walls closing in. Every morning, she woke before dawn to scrub the church floors. Every afternoon, she sat through choir rehearsals with a forced smile. Every night, she pretended to sleep while her mind battled fear, guilt, and the growing wickedness she tried so hard to bury. But secrets have a way of growing restless. The threat returns. One night, as Grace prepared for an early morning prayer session, her phone buzzed. She froze. Her hands trembled. Unknown number. You thought I was gone. We're not finished. Her legs weakened. She slumped onto her bed, gripping the phone as if it were a snake. She knew exactly who it was. The man from her hidden past. The man she had sworn to avoid forever. The one who held the evidence that could ruin her family, destroy her father's ministry, and erase everything she had pretended to be. She deleted the message immediately, but the fear stayed. Under watchful eyes. At breakfast, the pastor watched her closely. Grace, you look pale, he said. Is there something you need to confess? Her spoon clattered against her plate. Confess. Daddy. I'm fine. Her stepmother, black African Mama Funmi, chimed in gently. Maybe she's overwhelmed. The school, the choir, the youth fellowship. Pastor Daniel raised a hand. No excuses. A righteous home must be above reproach. Grace lowered her head, guilt slicing through her. She wanted to scream. She wanted to tell the truth. She wanted to ask for help. But the idea of confessing her double life terrified her more than the secret itself. The strange visit. That evening, as Grace swept the church hallway, she overheard murmurs from her father's office. She recognized the voice. It belonged to the church elder, Elder Cunnell, a strict man known for digging into people's lives like a vulture searching for bones. "Pastor Daniel," he said, voice low but sharp, "rumors are spreading about your daughter. People say she has been behaving differently." Grace's heart slammed against her chest. Her father sighed heavily. "I have noticed changes too. But I believe it is youthful stress." "Stress?" Elder Connell scoffed. "Or something darker?" Grace swallowed the rising panic. If Elder Connell ever discovered her truth, he would parade it before the congregation like a trophy. She quietly slipped away before her trembling legs gave her away. The man in the shadows. 2 nights later another message came. "Meet me at the old park. Midnight. If you don't come, your father's ministry ends." Grace's breath caught. She couldn't let him ruin her family, even if it meant facing the very thing she had been running from. The house was silent when she slipped out. The night air felt thick, like it was warning her not to proceed. Her footsteps were barely whispers as she made her way toward the abandoned park. A shadow stepped out from behind the broken swings. Dark-skinned, smiling the same dangerous smile that had haunted her for months. "Grace," he drawled. "Pastor's good little daughter. Still pretending to be pure?" She clenched her fists. "What do you want?" "Simple," he said, stepping closer. "You owe me. And it's time to pay what you promised." Her stomach twisted. "I told you that life is over. But your father's reputation," he chuckled. "That's very much alive." He held up his phone. Video. Pictures. Evidence of the dark secret she prayed would never surface. Grace felt faint. "Please," she whispered. "Don't do this." "Oh, I won't," he said. "As long as you do exactly what I say." The night swallowed her whole. Unseen eyes. What Grace didn't know was that someone else was there. Watching. Hidden behind the park's old iron gate. A figure who had long suspected she was hiding something. A figure whose curiosity had grown into quiet investigation. A figure whose involvement would change everything. Long, emotional, filled with suspense and perfect for a dramatic story narration. The next morning, Black African Grace Adeoye moved through the house like a ghost. Her eyes were hollow, her steps slow. Her father's voice echoed in the living room as he prepared his sermon, but Grace barely heard a word. The weight of the previous night pressed down on her like a mountain. She had gone to meet the man who threatened her secret. She had agreed to do what he demanded, just to protect her father's reputation. And now her soul felt split in two. But the day was only beginning. An odd quietness in the house. Mama Funmi noticed instantly. "Grace, come," she said gently, touching her arm. "Sit with me." Grace hesitated, but she obeyed. Mama Funmi studied her carefully, her eyes soft but searching. "There is something you're not telling us," she whispered. "Your spirit feels heavy." Grace blinked rapidly, fighting back tears. "I'm fine," she forced out. "Just tired." Mama Funmi sighed, but didn't push further. "If you ever need to talk, I am here." Grace nodded, but inside she knew the truth. No one could help her. Not unless she wanted her family to crumble. The secret witness reveals themselves. Later that evening, as Grace stepped out of choir practice, someone blocked her path. It was Black African Samuel, the church's quiet, observant sound technician. He was a few years older, known for saying little and noticing everything. His face was serious. "Grace, we need to talk." Her heart thudded. "About what?" "I saw you last night," he said softly. She froze. "At the old park," he continued. "I followed you there, because I've been worried." Grace's knees nearly gave way. "Samuel, please. You don't understand." "I understand enough," he said. "I saw you arguing with that man. And I saw him showing you something on his phone." Her breath caught. "This is my life, Samuel," she whispered, voice trembling. "Please keep it to yourself." Samuel looked at her for a long moment. "I will not expose you, Grace. But I can't let you face this alone." She shook her head violently. "No, no one can know. If my father finds out. Your father loves you, Samuel insisted. No, she said bitterly. He loves the version of me that he thinks I am. Samuel took a careful step back, giving her space. I won't force you to talk. But if that man threatens you again, call me. He handed her a small note with his number before walking away. Grace clutched it tightly, tears prickling her eyes. Someone finally cared. But was it too late? The pastor's suspicions grow. By the next week, Pastor Daniel's patience had thinned. He sensed something was wrong, and his sermons reflected his mounting tension. Grace could feel his eyes drilling into her during every choir practice, every dinner, every prayer meeting. One evening he called her into his office. Sit down. Grace obeyed, hands cold. My daughter, he began slowly. You have been distant, moody, distracted. This is not normal behavior for you. I'm just tired, Daddy. Tired, he repeated. No, you are hiding something. Grace's throat tightened. I'm not. Grace, his voice thundered, making her flinch. Do not lie to me. Tears burned her eyes. She wanted to confess. She wanted to free her heart from the prison it was trapped in. But she remained silent. Her father sighed heavily. If you continue down this path, you will bring shame upon this family. And I cannot allow that. The words stabbed her like knives. Grace nodded weakly and left the office, shoulders trembling. The ultimatum. That night, as she lay in her room praying for peace, her phone buzzed again. The man. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. Same place. Come alone. Or the world sees everything. Grace buried her face in her pillow and cried quietly so no one would hear. She was trapped. The confrontation. When she arrived at the old park the next evening, her heart beat like a drum. The man leaned casually against the swing set, smiling as if they were old friends. Took you long enough. What do you want now? She whispered. The same thing I've always wanted, he said. Obedience. He took out his phone. And if you don't cooperate, your father's reputation disappears. Grace felt despair swallow her whole. I'll do what you want, she said softly. Just don't drag my family into this. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a chilling whisper. You belong to your past, Grace. Don't fool yourself. But before he could say another word, a shadow moved from behind the trees. Samuel stepped forward, anger blazing in his eyes. Leave her alone, he commanded. Grace gasped. Samuel, what are you doing here? I told you, Samuel said. You're not facing this alone. The man laughed mockingly. Who's this hero? Another church boy pretending to be holy. Samuel didn't flinch. You're threatening her, blackmailing her. That ends today. The man scoffed. Oh really? And what will you do about it? Samuel held up his own phone. I recorded everything you just said. The man paled. And this, Samuel added, is going straight to the police unless you delete every file you have on her. Grace stared in shock. Samuel had come prepared. The man cursed under his breath, realizing he had lost leverage. After a tense moment, he deleted the pictures and videos, every single file, while Samuel recorded the entire process. When it was done, the man stomped off in defeat. Grace collapsed onto the bench, shaking. Samuel sat beside her, careful not to touch her. It's over, he said softly. Grace cried silently, overwhelmed with relief, shame, and gratitude. Thank you, she whispered. Samuel, I don't know how to repay you. You don't have to repay me, he said gently. You just have to forgive yourself. The confession. Later that night, Grace walked into her father's study. Pastor Daniel looked up, surprised. Daddy, she whispered. I have something to tell you. Grace. What is it? She took a deep breath, her first honest breath in a long time. It's about the life I've been hiding. The life you don't know. Her father's face changed slowly from confusion to fear. But he listened. For the first time in years, she told the truth. Every mistake, every secret, every shadow she had lived under. Pastor Daniel wept quietly as he listened, not out of anger but out of heartbreak and love. When she finished, he pulled her into his arms. "My daughter, I should have protected you better. I'm sorry." Grace cried harder, feeling a weight lift from her soul. For the first time she felt free. A new beginning. The next Sunday, Pastor Daniel preached a sermon unlike any other. About compassion, about understanding, about the hidden battles young people fight. Grace sat in the front row, Samuel beside her, Mama Funmi holding her hand. Grace had been broken, but now she was rebuilding. And this time she wasn't alone.